Felix Bautista could be lost for the season, no longer trade bait for the Orioles. But Zack Eflin has a good outing in his first appearance after being on the IL. Is Zack Eflin the best that the Birds have to offer right now? Hello, everybody. I'm Jon Leiberman. This is Orioles Digest. And just when you thought the news couldn't get any worse, it appears the Orioles are even trying to screw up the trade deadline. It's hard to believe, my friends. It is hard to believe we've sunk this low, but we have. Here's what we're going to get to. Why Felix Bautista literally called the dugout last night and said he was unavailable in the seventh inning. The Birds, of course, lost a close one, 3-2. We're going to go over what it means and all of the ramifications. Frankly, we're going to talk about Zack Eflin's outing. Is he now the number one kind of piece of trade bait that the Orioles have at the deadline? And what does that say about everybody else? And speaking of everybody else, all of the other top guys who the Orioles could put out there at the deadline, well, they're all scuffling in a major way at the exact wrong time for the Orioles to get a return to become competitive for 2026. Again, I'm Jon Leiberman. This is Orioles Digest. Thank you. Please like, subscribe, do all the things. Things are happening fast and furious. We are 1 week from the trade deadline. We're going to get to Ced in a second. Mike Elias is certainly on the hot seat. We're going to get to that. But I want to start with Felix Bautista. Felix Bautista asked, or rather told, Tony Mansolino in the seventh last night that he was unavailable to pitch. Now, remember, in his previous appearance, his velo was down. He didn't look quite as sharp, but according to Mansolino, he looked fine before the game against Cleveland last night. I want to get to Mansolino's exact quote. Something didn't feel right, so we shut him down, Mansolino said. We'll have more information by tomorrow. Tomorrow, of course, now meaning today. So I anticipate that the Orioles will have more information today on Felix Bautista. But no matter how you look at it, if you read between the lines, this is not good news. This is not good news. It appears that there is something wrong with Felix Bautista. And if there is, and again, we don't want to speculate wildly, but if there is, then it kind of hurts the Birds in a few ways. One, of course, you lose your closer. Not that the Orioles are in a lot of safe situations these days anyway. But B, if there were any thoughts of dealing Felix Bautista, and I don't think the Birds should, but there has been a lot of speculation out there about dealing Felix Bautista. So if that was on the table, all of a sudden, if he's injured or there are questions about his health, all of a sudden his trade value goes way down. That is the Felix Bautista update. We're going to stay on top of it and certainly keep you in the loop on all of it. And of course, you know, again, Felix has had a nice year so far, coming back from injury. He's 50 strikeouts in 34 2/3 innings. He's got the 2.6 ERA. He's got the 1.125 WHIP, and all in all, Felix has been pretty much the Felix of old, and pretty much delivered what you need him to deliver. That's why this is concerning, both for this season and beyond at this point. But again, looking for an update from Tony Mansolino or Mike Elias later on today, so stay tuned for that. Speaking of staying tuned, we are there we go. We are 1 week from the trade deadline, and unfortunately, some of the Birds' top guys who are on expirings and could be traded are just scuffling mightily, both at the plate and on the mound. And look, I'm going to hate to see Cedric Mullins go, but he's on an expiring. Chances are the Birds are dangling him out there. Well, we know they are dangling him out there, but what is the return going to be? And, let me just show you something. These are the Orioles numbers since June 1st. not including last night's game, but nothing moved a lot. Ryan O'Hearn, 207, 315, 331, just a huge slump. Again, a good season, an all-star, but a huge slump at the wrong time if you're trying to deal him. Cedric Mullins, terrible slash line. 182, 242, 309. Again, lowering his value in at the trade deadline a week from today. Tomoyuki Sagano, 8 starts, an ERA nearing 7. What started out as a promising season, once hitters across the league saw him once, got used to him, got some tape on him, they've been eating him up. So again, super concerning if these are the 3 guys, that the Birds were hoping could be their biggest opportunity to get a good haul back. Super concerning. Of course, you have Sir Anthony in there. You have Greg Soto, who could be thrown into this mix. Ryan Mounty could be in this mix. There are others, but again, unfortunately, the Orioles are selling at a time that those that they wish to sell are not excelling. Now, speaking of excelling, Zack Eflin. So, Zack obviously has had an up and down season, but he just came back from injury last night. He threw 5 innings, I believe 5 Ks, 2 runs, 2 earned runs. They didn't hit the ball off of him hard, but I thought it was telling because after 5 innings, we sort of knew he wasn't coming out for the 6th. I speculate because the Birds didn't want to go any further with him and have him get hit in the 6th or injured or whatever because they're preserving him. But it was a nice moment. Dean Kramer came over and gave him a big hug. That may have been Zack Eflin's last appearance as an Oriole. And again, it shows he's healthy. He came back. It shows he's healthy. He had a good appearance. Obviously, you look at the numbers on the year. They're not as dazzling to say you're going to get a huge return for Zack Eflin, but Zack could certainly help a team down the stretch just like he did for the Orioles last year. Obviously, the 5.95 ERA is anything but magnificent, but the outing last night was a step in the right direction. And at this point, friends, Zack Eflin may be the best that the Orioles have to offer at this deadline. I'll be down at the yard all weekend. I'll report back. Jon Leiberman, Orioles Digest.